a special guest who will share with us about Native Hawaiians and other Pacific Islanders to complete our AAPI Heritage Awareness Month celebration. Next Monday, I'm hoping, since I will be in Hawaii, I'm hoping I will capture more of Hawaii and share them with all of our listeners, with all of you here at PHLV Radio. So tonight we have Miss Doreen Hall, because Dorinda Burnett is the immediate past president of their organization.
Yes.
So Miss Doreen Hall is the current president of the Las Vegas Hawaiian Civic Club, and I'm excited to hear her story and any announcement about LVHCC. Welcome to Healthy Mondays, Doreen.
Hi, aloha ina kako, mahalo, Dr. Aczon-Armstrong and Filthy Radio for having the Las Vegas Hawaiian Civic Club here today. We are excited.
Yeah, so would you like to share with our listeners a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Doreen Hall. I am the current Pelekikena president of the Las Vegas Hawaiian Civic Club. The Las Vegas Hawaiian Civic Club has been serving the community here for 32 years. I am an original and native of Hawaii, born and raised on the island of Oahu. I am a Kanaka Maole. I am half Hawaiian, Chinese, Portuguese, so I do have that little Asian heritage in me as well. Just made the move here to the city of Las Vegas in 2019, so I do now call Las Vegas my home.
You mentioned Kanaka Maoli. I know
Yes.
the phrase because it's part of my when I did my dissertation, and Mr. John, I forgot his last name. He's one of the professor at University of
Oh,
Hawaii.
okay.
But, can you share with our listeners what Kamaka?
Yeah. So Kanaka is translated as people in Olelo, Hawaii, in our mother language. Maoli is, so we are natives of the island. So I am a native Hawaiian. That's my identity, that I identify with my multi-race background, right? And back home in Hawaii, when you're mixed with different diversities or ethnicities, they say you're chop suey, which means you're a bunch of mix, right? So I am half Hawaiian, Chinese, Portuguese, but identify with my native Hawaiian cultural, and that's kind of what, I live my life and my traditions and my values, but also knowing my Chinese and Portuguese side, because Hawaii is such a melting pot. We have every ethnicity that you can think of, a little bit of everything in Hawaii.
Yes, I'm glad you mentioned about chop suey because I'm also a chop suey.
Yes, yes.
Chinese and Spanish and the Filipino.
Okay.
And then my children now me and then Mexican and Caucasian.
Right,
so,
right.
I think I wanted to know what is your role in the Las Vegas Hawaiian Civic Club, and maybe share with us the mission and vision of your organization.
Absolutely. That's a great question. So the Las Vegas Hawaiian Civic Club, our mission here is to perpetuate our culture through our language, which is our Olelo Hawaii, through our mele's, our songs, our olis, our chants, and just our tradition and our values. A lot of our people have moved off island, whether it's economics, family, career, and it's unfortunate that we have to leave our homeland, and we've migrated here to Las Vegas, from the early 1970s. And since then, people of Hawaii has called Las Vegas home. And so for us, through the Las Vegas Hawaiian Civic Club, we are that liaison, to keep the culture alive here. And I know that we're doing a maika'i job. It takes a lot of work. It takes a village to work together as we build our community partnerships here. But we have so many people. The aloha is where we stand. I say this all the time because we're not home. We're not on our aina anymore, right? We're here in the city of Las Vegas, and for a lot of us, it's home. So we're trying to emulate our traditions and our values and our culture, and it's just an amazing thing. And I didn't understand it until I actually moved here to Las Vegas.
Yes, I always start our show with aloha,
Yes.
and I end it with aloha, and I think you would be the best person to tell them what aloha really means.
Wow, that is a tough question.
It's not included in the question I sent.
It's not, but it's okay. Aloha, when you look in our Hawaiian dictionary, it has over 100 meanings. right? So aloha could be a greeting. It could be aloha could mean I love you. Aloha wau oi, as we say, I love you. Aloha is who we are, our being, our spirit, just the person as an identity. So aloha is used very broad back home and actually all over the world. It's a recognized term, but it's not an easy question because it means so much to us and to others.
That's why when I say aloha, I use my hands because
Right.
I'm trying to tell our listeners that I love you, and then I'm
Right.
sharing my love to all of you.
Right? And just like in the Filipino culture, we say maha kita, right? And in
Yeah,
Olelo
maha
Hawaii,
kita.
we say aloha wau oi, right? So it's the language of love, right? Aloha is a huge word for us.
And I know this question again is not in the list that I gave you.
Okay, come on, Doc.
So why is Las Vegas called the ninth island?
Wow, why is Las Vegas called the Ninth Island? And we just briefly talked about it this morning. It's a controversy, right? In itself, it's different perspective. People here in Las Vegas, in the U.S. continent, they call it the Ninth Island because it feels like it. Again, is emulated. We know that Vegas will never replace Hawaii. And we give that respect and homage to our motherland, right? Hawaii is Hawaii. It consists of 8 islands. But here in Las Vegas, because it feels just like home, it's just different elements, right? The weather is different. It's a desert, but it's isolated, just like Hawaii, right? So a lot of the locals that live here now refers it to the ninth island. Now, is that right or wrong? Again, it's just your different perspective. But we always, at the end of the day, we always give respect to home. We know that this is not the ninth island, but it feels like it.
Yes. So I think that earlier we were talking about how could it be that some people, because I didn't know that Las Vegas is called the ninth island. Somebody
Right.
pointed it out
Yes.
to me, and it didn't faze me. I said, "Oh, okay, it's a ninth island," but I don't understand what it really
Right.
means until recently. Well, I've been here since 2016,
Right.
and so now I said, "Oh, now I know why it's called the ninth island."
Yeah.
Because you miss Hawaii so much that when you start getting to know all the transplant,
Right,
they're called
right. They call it transplants
Yes,
here,
I didn't
correct.
know that there's another word for us because you're a transplant from Hawaii,
Right.
and I said transplant. Okay, I transfer
Yeah.
from Hawaii to here.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize what it means until I started getting to know all the people who had moved from Hawaii to
Right.
Las Vegas. And when I teach at Rosemary, and so
Right.
I brought my nursing students at UMC, University Medical Center, and then I was looking around and I saw someone that I used to work with at Kuwakini Medical Center
Oh,
on
okay.
Mahalo
Yes.
4.
Yes.
And that was like how many years ago? 20 plus years ago.
Wow.
Then I was training for computer science training, and then I turned around and I saw another friend who I used to
Right.
work at Kokini. So we just recently had lunch together and reminiscing how it was working in the hospital in Hawaii. And I
Right.
said, now it feels like this is the ninth
This is
island.
the ninth island.
I connected to other people who used to live in Hawaii
Right.
and connected with me, and that is what it is.
Yeah, and that term was actually, and that's also a great question. And me, learning the history of our people that migrated to Las Vegas. There was an individual, one of our community leaders in our Lahui here. Her name is Auntie Lynette Macaulay. And Auntie Lynette kind of noticed back, this is like in the 70s, right? The Ninth Island in the 80s, the term came. And she actually started saying Ninth Island. And that's kind of how it all started with Auntie Lynette Macaulay. And Ninth Island kind of grew, right? Because again, it was the emulation of Hawaii as she too started to connect with people here in Las Vegas. And it's such a joke back home that, you go to Vegas, you'll see somebody. You'll know somebody. And that has actually been my life here the last 2 years. I knew a few people moving here. 2 of my best friends lived here, had some family. But as soon as I stepped foot in this state and being in the city of Las Vegas, now 2 years later, I have met so many amazing people from home that either I'm related to, I know, I worked with, or in some part of my life have met them. And they're all here. And we joke about it all the time. So why not call it the ninth island, right? It feels like home. When you're home, you know everybody. And then now you move to Las Vegas, and that continues with me. As soon as I start talking story with someone, it's that connection. is that connection.
You mentioned somebody, I said, oh, I know that
Yep,
somebody, and then it's the connection. I think that home is where your heart is.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it's really amazing how you start getting to know the people, and then they know someone.
Yes, the
Wow,
connection.
I haven't seen them for a long time, and I had forgotten that I know them, and then I saw them here, and I said, oh yeah, I know you.
Yeah, I was just at the May Day Festival that 808 Vegas hosted a couple weeks ago, and I was in our booth. The Las Vegas Hawaiian Civic Club had a community outreach. We were teaching how to do tea leaf bracelets, and this gentleman walked past me, and I was like, oh my God, I know him. And it didn't dawn on me until having a conversation with my best friend Trudy back home in Hawaii. I said, I think I saw, so-and-so. She's like, yeah, he moved there 20 years ago. And I connected with him on Facebook. I'm like, Uncle, was that you? He goes, yeah, I didn't recognize you. But those are like the meet and greets that I've been having in the last 2 years, and constantly have these meetups. And it does feel like home. Everybody's here, that it seems like, right? That I knew once before.
And you know how I found out about the Las Vegas Hawaiian Civic Club is when we founded the Asian American Pacific Islanders Association in Nevada. And I looked around and I said, we're just all Asian Americans. We're missing the PI of our
Pacific
organization.
Islanders,
So
right.
I Googled and looked everywhere,
Right.
and I found Las Vegas Hawaiian Civic Club, and I emailed Dorinda.
Yeah.
And Phil, I forgot his name, Philip or
Patrick Phillip?
Oh, Patrick.
Yep,
yes.
Patrick Phillip.
So I emailed them, and they actually were our guests here.
Right.
About a couple of, maybe a year ago.
Yep.
And I said, wow. And then I went to the Ho'olaule'a.
Okay. Yes. Yes.
And I guess maybe later on you can tell us
Yes,
about the
that's
plans.
exciting news.
Yes. So I think that would you like to continue talking about the Las Vegas
Yeah.
Civic Club,
Yes.
how it came about, what are the community outreach
Right.
events?
Sure. So another one of our community leaders, as you may well know, Auntie Rosita Lee, who is also a chartered member of the Las Vegas Hawaiian Civic Club. Again, in the 80s, so many people was migrating, and there was different organizations that was rising here because they figured out, wow, we're all here from Hawaii. Let's form these organizations. And then in 1989, we got chartered by the Association of Hawaiian Civic Club, who is basically our parent executive body of civic clubs. And so our first president was Wayne Panoki, and he chartered us in 1989. So we've been here for 32 years in the city of Las Vegas. It's always a challenge having an organization start up new, but we survived. We've been here. We're going to be here for the next 50 to 100 years doing what we do best. The one mission that we have that we're so proud, as long as we do right by our people and ourselves and our board, we say, as long as you do pono. And I use that quite often, right? I live it, I breathe it, I try to emulate it through the Civic Club. And I'm just so proud of us, We've connected with many community partners, organizations, schools, businesses, and we have to learn to elevate one another.
I'm glad
Right.
that I met you today.
Yeah, me too.
Because, we've been trying to partner with
Yeah.
a lot of communities
Yes.
out there, and our first partner is the Asian Community Development Council.
Mhm.
And Las Vegas
Yep.
Hawaiian Civic Club is our second partner.
Yes.
So we'd like to be able to be more involved.
Absolutely.
And I think that I don't know if I'm a member. I have to check if I actually filled up that application.
Well,
form.
we can
I
give
have
you
to
that
do-
membership.
Yes.
But yeah, and we're so, again, we're proud as we're talking about AAPIC Heritage Month. We're honored, as you know, Auntie Dorinda Burnett is our ihone, is our past president, but she is also an AAPIC commissioner for Clark County. And what that does for us is that she represents Native Hawaiians and Pacific Islander on that platform. So we have a voice now on this commission board. But we formed a lot of alliances through Asian American Pacific Islander organizations. We're proud to have, we work with many, many organizations, and we work together. There's not one ethnicity, we work with many, right?
We have the same goal and we have the same passion.
Right.
And every time that we have to get involved with community outreach,
Yes.
I personally pray about it.
Yeah.
Say, Lord,
Absolutely.
guide us, bless our efforts, this is something that you put in our hearts. This
Yes.
desires in our heart to help others, to love others,
Right.
is what you put in
Yep,
our hearts.
absolutely.
So, help us to instill that passion
Right.
and help us to work together. And I
Yeah.
think that if you share the same goal, the same
Yeah.
passion to lift up each other, I think
Right.
that's the best to do, to lift up each other. And I was
Absolutely.
going to say, I saw both of them. I saw Ate Margie.
Yes, Auntie
Gonzalez,
Margie. Yes.
And I want to call her Tita Rosita Lee.
Right.
And Dorinda, the other day,
Right.
at the Clark County
Monthly hearing, I
Ocala-
believe.
Yes,
Yes.
when they gave us, they recognized and honored us
Yes.
in recognition of the Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month.
Right.
And our students from Rosemary University Student Nurse Association have been helping ACDC with the
Right.
vaccine clinic.
Yes.
The pop-up in the
Mhm.
middle of Chinatown.
Right.
And the goal was to vaccinate 1,000 people around the area.
Ah,
So with that, Commissioner, I think his name is Justin Jones,
Right.
who gave the proclamation and recognition.
yes, I saw that. Congratulations, you know.
So it's, I mean, I'm so proud of our students. They couldn't attend because they are training in the hospitals for their
Oh, okay.
maternal nursing.
Nice.
They're almost done.
Right.
And they contacted me and they said, Dr. Hey, I wanted to go, but this is more, I
Yes.
said, that's more important.
Right.
Study's more important. I'll represent you guys. And I thought it was just a simple, okay, here's recognition. I didn't
Yeah.
know that we're going to go up there and listen and actually listen to open forum
Yeah.
by the community about vaccination and other
Yeah.
things. And I said, this is a great experience to
Yes.
hear the community talk about different issues and how it is handled
Yeah.
there.
Absolutely.
And of course, the representation of Pacific
Yes.
Islanders. Yes,
Yeah.
that's very
Yeah.
important.
And it's interesting that you mentioned that the Las Vegas Hawaiian Civic Club during this pandemic, we've risen our health initiative arm because we thought it was important to hear the needs of our community, right? Flu vaccines, COVID-19 vaccines, just mind, body, and spirit. How can we help our lahui or our community here? And that was really important. We've been in collaboration on many platforms, just like the Asian American Pacific organizations, urging our community to get vaccinated, during this time. So it was a good time for us to rise as the Health Initiative Program as we continue to do so. And we've created a lot of partnerships while doing that. So that's just one of many program initiatives that we have through the Las Vegas Hawaiian Civic Club.
And I think that I attended one of your meetings,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the members was reaching out to me and asking, can you provide us a nurse practitioner
Mhm.
who is of Hawaiian ancestry or someone who understands Hawaiian culture?
Right.
And sometimes it's easy for individuals
Mhm.
to confine in someone who understands
Right.
culture.
Right.
And I'm talking about in general, health-wise, like when they do a checkup
Right.
and they have some concerns, and maybe it's related to the cultural practices, and everyone needs to be comfortable in
Right.
sharing
Absolutely.
what bothers them,
Mhm.
mind, body, and spirit that
Right.
you mentioned,
Yes.
right? So I'm still working on it.
Well,
I'm
let us
trying to
know.
find out.
I know we have a couple of our community out here that are nurses or getting their degree. And, again, that's another program initiative for us. Education is important, and we need to place our Native Hawaiians and Pacific Islanders in certain roles, just like that. Doctors, lawyers, nurses, politics, right? We need them to elevate themselves so they can help our people. Maybe that communication, if they see someone that looks like us and speaks like us and have that tradition and values, they will be more comfortable getting the services from these providers. So I think that's a great avenue as well.
Yes, and
Yeah.
they can open up. I know I wanted to say a shout out to, she's in Honolulu, Hawaii right now,
Okay.
Dr. Napanua Berdinsky. She is of Samoan descent, and
Okay.
she also have a lot of Native Hawaiian friends and colleagues. She's at the Queens Medical Center in West Oahu.
Oh, well,
So
aloha
hope to
doc,
connect with
Queens.
them.
Yeah,
They are with,
definitely.
Asian American Pacific Islander Nurse Association Hawaii.
In Hawaii, I
Sure.
saw that. I
Yeah,
saw your
so-
chapter in Hawaii.
Yeah, and I'm hoping, so we co-founded that with 4 of us, and then when I moved here, then we started the Apina Nevada. So I'm hoping our next broadcast next Monday is including the Apina
Yes.
Hawaii. Yes. So I'm looking at the questions again.
Yes.
What would you like to share about how we can increase awareness about the Pacific Islander, I guess Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month, but focusing on the Pacific Islanders?
Right. Again, you guys, you're bringing some tough questions to me. The one way that we can support organizations that advocates for Asian American and Pacific Islander rights. On many different levels. Our support can be, donating our time to certain platforms, research, education. I think that's important. Living here in the city of Las Vegas, and just to be quite honest with you, Doc, back home they celebrate AAPI, American Asian Pacific Islander, but it wasn't really evident to me until I moved here in Las Vegas, and just to be quite honest. And so for me personally, it was an eye-opener, right? An education platform for me as I share it with my friends and family back home. Because we never really heard, we knew what it was back home, but we weren't really aware. And here in Las Vegas, I'm pretty proud of all of our communities. We've made that awareness, and unfortunately, with the many things that are going on in the world today, it really put it to the forefront. Right? Yes. And how do we address certain things? And through the Las Vegas Hawaiian Civic Club, we've been invited to AAPIC dialogue and workshops, right? For us to listen, how do we handle situations like this? How do we deal with it, right? At the end of the day, even though we are Native Hawaiians and that's what we identify ourselves with, but reality, we're all mixed with different ethnicities, yes. Right? Here comes that chop suey behavior again. And we're all one, and we should be able to learn to work together. And I say this a lot too in my membership and in my meetings. In unity, we are stronger.
Yes, we're a big family.
We are a big ohana.
Big family. And
big ohana.
It's quite true that you mentioned now that you mentioned it. Back in Hawaii, I wasn't really aware about the AAPI Heritage Month.
Exactly.
And to think that when I research it, it has been official as AAPI Heritage Month in 1992.
Yeah.
So I'm like, how could it be that?
Right.
I guess because we're so absorbed with the daily lives.
Right.
And that we're in Hawaii, so we're always celebrating it every day, but never realized that we have that 1 month in May. Yeah. The month of May in the year that is dedicated for us, for the to celebrate our heritage. And I think that our young generation, we need to start having them be aware to continue this heritage.
And it's not only that, it's like, what does it mean? American Asian Pacific Islander, what does it truly mean?
Yes.
And again, this platform, me being here in Las Vegas, has really brought me to the forefront to understand, what does that mean, right? We know as Asian Americans, right, immigrants coming to America to have that better life. But what challenges have they persecuted themselves by leaving their home country and coming to America for living the American dream? As Native Hawaiians and Pacific Islanders, we've had our own challenges with decolonization and culture and values that was taken away from us as we rebuild, right? So it's interesting, as you continue to educate yourself about Asian American Pacific Islander, ask yourself the question, what does that mean, right? Education is power, knowledge is power, right? So mahalo nui for pushing me to even learn even more about AAPIC and how important it is to observe and honor it, and not only in the month of May, but every day.
Every day.
Every day.
Yes. Good point.
Yes.
And I just had last Monday, we had Megan Siriaco, who's the president of our AAPI, AAPINA, Rosemary University SLA, and Eddie Dong, who's Korean. And listening to both of them, it's so refreshing to hear from our younger generation.
Yeah.
What does it mean to be Asian? What does it mean to be a Pacific Islander? And how are you going to incorporate this, knowing this, into your everyday life? And how are you going to share it with the other people that you hang out with? And I asked them both, what are the things that you want our listeners to know if they're about to meet someone who is Asian or Pacific Islander? In that case, who's Korean? What are the things you need to know? Taking off your slippers, it's similar to Korean and Filipinos and in Hawaii.
Yes.
Like,
it's a respect,
leave your slippers
Your
outside.
slippers outside.
Slippers outside.
Yes.
So-
And you know, it's important that you bring that up. You know, the millennials nowadays, or even my generation, you know, until we set that foundation, right, we have to go backwards. We have to go back to our kupunas, our elders, right, our tradition and values, and bring it forward. Right. So a lot of the young generation, they're not aware of many different platforms, but it's our kuleana in our generation to educate the youths for today, because one day they are going to be our community leaders, right? They're going to. It's our responsibility, right? And so we work really hard and learning our history, right? We learn from the past, we bring forward for lessons for today, and that's just a lot of our traditions. And the Asian American and the Pacific Islander, Native Hawaiians, we have to go back history and learn why. How did our kapunas or our elders do during those challenging times, and how have we evolved today? Our kapunas are the one that brought us here today. A lot of challenges and rights that we fought for. Just a lot of things culturally. We have to learn what they did and how can we progress today, right? And now our millennials are younger. They're going to even take us even further, further than we can bring us, right? And that's the kuleana. That's the responsibility to continue education awareness, right?
Yes, and I think that what's refreshing about the young generation is their confidence in who they are.
Yes.
And Megan had pointed it out that, you know, growing up, she's half Caucasian and half Asian, and it's possibly happening to our generation.
Absolutely.
Maybe half, hapa. We call it
Right,
hapa,
hapa,
right?
half.
Half,
Yes.
whatever ethnicity.
Right.
Half Asian and then half American,
Right.
or half Korean or half Hawaiian.
Right.
We call it in Hawaii. We call it hapa. Oh, you're hapa.
Right, you're hapa. You
the
have.
children are hapas,
Yeah.
and sometimes they call it Mexipina. You know,
Right,
Mexican.
right,
Filipina.
right.
But I think that what I'm trying to get at is that what are the struggles that they have when they realize, you know, that they are not just Hawaiian, they're
Right.
just not Caucasian, they're just not Filipino.
Right.
So again, that diversity and leaving out and removing that divide.
Right.
And I think that divide is what's creating those hate crimes.
Yeah.
And bringing this in because
Yeah.
it's all
Yep.
all together. You know, sometimes when I hear someone making comments that
Yeah.
is, you know, derogatory, I
Right.
think it's our responsibility, our kuleana,
Yeah.
to call it as it is and call it right there. And even if it's not us, it goes, that is not cool or that is not
Right.
acceptable.
Right.
You know, that is not acceptable.
Yeah, and we've had many discussions on this topic. You know, I sit on multiple diversity panels as well for the Las Vegas Hawaiian Civic Club. And it's interesting because for me, as I listen to all this controversy on Asian American hate crimes or just things that's going on in the world, racism, you know, growing up in Hawaii, honestly, I never really saw it in Hawaii. And maybe it's because I just surrounded my people, you know, myself with positive thoughts, positive people. It's there, right? Even in Hawaii, it's there. But my response to that, to anybody that asks me, is that I go back to my foundation. How was I raised? What comes out of that household is what I was taught, and now I'm teaching my children,
Your
right?
values.
It's my values, but it goes down to the core foundation, right? Was my kupunas racist? Were they discriminated? No, they weren't. We weren't like that. So therefore, I bring it forward to my generation and to my grandchildren, right? So it's important that we learn the foundation where we come from. And again, I say knowledge is power, right? Educate yourself, right? A lot of things that are going on, you know, we can't be divided. We just cannot.
The golden rule from the Holy Bible is do unto others
As you would.
what you would like others.
Yes, correct. Absolutely.
Wow, this is time flies when we're having
It
fun.
does.
But I wanted to know about what are the plans about upcoming Ho'olaule'a.
Oh my
I
God.
heard it, but I wanted to hear it
Yes,
directly from
yes.
you.
Thank you for asking. The Las Vegas Hawaiian Civic Club is the promoters for the Pacific Islander Festival and Ho'olaule'a. In 2018 was the last time that we celebrated Ho'olaule'a here in Las Vegas. 2019, it was canceled due to renovations in downtown Henderson. The city of Henderson has Salamat us, has taken care of the Las Vegas Hawaiian Civic Club and our festival. And then, of course, 2020, the pandemic hit. So now, September 10th and 11th, at the new event plaza, fully renovated, is an amazing venue. We have committed to once again bring out and celebrate the 29th Pacific Islander Festival and Ho'olaulea. We are rebranding this Ho'olaulea. Gives us a chance. These 2 years has given us a chance on how we can better our festival, how we can serve our lahui and truly keep our mission statement to perpetuate traditions and values, and we showcase it in our festival. So in this festival, I am so proud because not only is the Las Vegas Hawaiian Civic Club is planning logistics, but we have asked our community to join as partners to take ownership of this festival, and they have. So we are bringing out the royal court as a tradition in Hawaii. We'll have a mo'i king and queen. So we're going to open up officially with our pool blowers, our conch shell blowers. We'll have a luau dinner. We will have 7 Polynesian villages.
Oh, wow. You guys
Yes,
don't want to miss this.
yes,
So
we
you're
are.
bringing Hawaii
We
to
are
Las Vegas.
bringing Hawaii to Las Vegas, and with our Polynesian villages, we are showcasing the islands of Samoa, Tonga, Fiji.
Different states.
Yes, Cook Islands, New Zealand, and Hawaii. We're so proud of the Polynesian villages. We're having that. We are asking our hula halaus to come back out and showcase their dances through our meles. Our halaus are coming up and gearing up for entertainment for Ho'olaulea, and they will have 2 sound stages. We're bringing some headliners, maybe some reggae, some traditional artists from Hawaii to our artists here in Las Vegas, and we're just excited.
You don't want to miss it.
You don't want to miss it. September 10th and 11th.
It's going to be a little hot, but
Yes, it's going to be a little hot, but if our community wants to volunteer, we're looking at volunteers. But we are excited. The community are buzzing. We're bringing Hawaii back to the city of Las Vegas. So we hope that you will be joining us.
Yes, I'm going to tell our executive
yes,
board members
yes.
for the
We're
to get involved.
excited.
Maybe we can have a table.
You can, and we encourage our organizations to come out and have an informational resource table. Showcase your platforms. We want to hear it. We want to see it. Vendor applications will be going out June 1st as we're gearing up. But it's the buzz among our community, and it's time for us to come out. As long as, of course, our kuleana is to provide a safe environment for us to come out. But it's time. The Lohui wants it. We hear it. And we're going to come out with a bang. So join
stay
us.
tuned.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
Thank you. I was going to call you Dorinda again.
I know. We get that a lot. Auntie
So
Dorinda.
close,
Doreen.
right?
I know.
Yeah,
I
so,
know.
It is September 10th to
Yes.
September
11. Yep. Friday night.
11.
Yep. Friday night. Come out. Join us. Maybe for some reggae and some.
Food.
Yeah.
I'm sure
Oh,
there's gonna be
food.
there.
Yes, I'm calling all of our amazing food truck vendors out here. Our local restaurants will be on deck. Ninth Island foodies. Everybody. Oh my God. There's so much food here, and I guess that's why I don't miss Hawaii too much. We have again all our food. Our vendors. Our all things Hawaii. All things Hawaiian will be there. But come out. We would love to have you.
Yes. So when you talk about Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders, there's always going to be food.
Oh yes, yes. We have amazing lumpia and pancit on our vendors. Oh my gosh, I can go on and on about Filipino food as far as tacos and Mexican and there's too many to talk about, Doc. But yeah, come out and join us September 10th and 11th, Event Plaza downtown Henderson, Friday night and Saturday.
Okay, thanks, Doreen. So
You're
any
welcome.
words of wisdom to share to our listeners out there related to AAPI Heritage Awareness Month?
I think what I wanted to leave you with today, and again, we've talked about it earlier. In unity, we are stronger, right? In order to progress, we have to work together, right? We have to progress together. So the word, the wisdom, in unity, we are stronger. Let's continue to work together. Let's continue to collaborate on the same mission and purpose, right here. And they're actually everywhere in the world. We should all be working together.
And there you have it. Thank you so much.
Oh,
Doreen.
mahalo nui, doctor. And having us on here on the radio, it was a pleasure and our honor.
Thank you. And also PHLV Radio, Johan, for